Hello everyone, Richard here at Calvin Wazoo with another video for you, and it's my reaction, not so much a view or review I should say, to the much anticipated release of the anniversary. What is it, the 50th anniversary? Yeah, 50th anniversary of the soundtrack from 200 Motels. Now, as far as all the background information and what went on, and it's really quite interesting, especially how the music came to be. All that I've covered before in another video that's an actual review of the release, and I'll have a link to that in the down under. Today, I'm pretty much just going to provide my reaction to this release, tell you a little bit about it. It's this one is, I listened to this last night with headphones, and really, to me, that's the way to do it with this album, to hear all the nuance clearly. And besides, I live in a high-rise apartment building, and to play my music loudly would be very rude to my neighbors. So when I do really want to listen to something loud, I'll put the headphones on. So it's very nice packaging, all, with the original release in mind. I have an original release. The poster, because of it having been, tacked on a wall, so many different walls, so many different times, is a bit shot. But a new poster, comes with this release, as well as a booklet, like the original booklet. That's all quite nice, sturdy paper stock. All the same photos in here. So, really nice material. The Zappa Family Trust does a really exceptional job with all the reissues that they have released. And it's a Bernie Grudman, master. You can see his initials in the dead wax. I also got now what I listened to last night was the black vinyl. I also got a copy of the red vinyl. It's a limited edition release. I don't know how limited, but I haven't opened it yet because I probably won't listen to it. I mean, I got the black vinyl. I don't need to open this to listen to the red vinyl. And I just may hold on to it and see what happens, with it. I did not buy it with the intention of selling, but, you never know. There's a lot of other records out there I would really like to have. And, sometimes you make sacrifices so that you can make other purchases. So, listening to this was remarkable. The clarity of the sound, the nuance of the sound, and the depth of the sound. You could tell that this was recorded. Most of it was recorded, live as it was being performed for the film. Very little of the recording of this was, dubbed in, recorded in a studio or something like that, with some elements added. The majority was recorded live, on the sound stage, as it is depicted here. And the variety of instruments and the clarity. I mean, you really hear the Well, let me back up a little bit. The music in this soundtrack can be divided into two camps. There is the popular style of music that would be more akin to, rock and roll, and then there is the orchestral music. And the orchestral music is just brilliant. And especially with this release, it just really, really comes through. The pizzicato, there's a lot of pizzicato with the strings in this orchestration, and it just comes through so brilliantly. And the rhythm section with the drums and wood blocks and gongs and then the harp and then the other instruments, the whole depth comes through so beautifully. You really can hear also how, even with the rock and roll songs, that there is a reference to a musical style of a contemporary group, of the time. Now, Frank, in many of his recordings, would quote pieces, and I'm not exactly confident that there are a lot of specific musical quotes in here. But in both parts, whether it's the popular music, the rock and roll kind of music, and the orchestral music, the musical influences are apparent. I would say it's more of an influence on the orchestral side, but on the popular music side, he was using the musical styles of other well-known groups of the time to portray some of the events going on in the film, as well as, the storyline in general. And so you can hear in some songs, at one point you're going to be hearing very vivid soul music and R&B music. And then, the song Lonesome Cowboy Burt, the homage in that song to country music in general, while it is, ironic, satirical, is nonetheless really brilliant in how it was put together and played. You can hear musical style references to bands like the Jefferson Airplane, to the Beatles, to the Rolling Stones, to pop music like the Bee Gees at the time. And of course, even musical styles of the Turtles, because we, of course, have Howard Kaylan and Mark Volman, the Fluorescent Leech and Eddie, providing a lot of vocals. So in that realm, just amazingly brilliant in that presentation. And then we have the orchestral pieces, in which you can hear, distinctly the influences of other composers such as Edgar Varese, Stravinsky, Holst, and perhaps John Cage. I'm not that familiar with John Cage, but I believe there's some homages to the style of these musicians. Frank was very influenced by each of these composers and others. But, when you're listening to the soundtrack, the construction of the orchestral pieces are really quite stunning. And this recording really, really revels in presenting them for you in a very, very beautiful, it's a very beautiful presentation in terms of the sound experience. So yes, this is a brilliant remastering of this brilliant piece. Even now, I haven't listened to my original to get a direct comparison to see or to listen and determine, how much better this particular recording is than the original. But I'm not going to go back and listen to the original, anyway, because It's an old copy, you know, it's got surface noise. And this, you know, the one I opened in the black vinyl, man, this is going to be the one for listening from now on. So yes, if you've, I know other people have been doing some videos, you know, about this release, and also heaping tremendous amounts of praise, well-deserved praise, on this release. And you know, if you were never a big fan of the soundtrack to begin with, you know, why would you want to buy this 50th anniversary reissue? But if you really do enjoy the entirety of the soundtrack, then I would highly recommend this 50th anniversary release of the soundtrack. You know, when this first came out, I would have been in junior high school, and my friends and I would be listening to it, and for the most part, my friends, and likewise, you know, I mean, a junior high school mind, we kind of focused on the more prurient aspects of the lyrics and in the song composition. And the orchestral parts, most of my friends were kind of like, this is, you know, it's too weird. It just sounds, and they actually thought, I think, this is what they were thinking, that the orchestral pieces were mockery in the way that the rock and roll pieces, to some degree, were mockery. But, geez, they are brilliant works. They are brilliant compositions. And, you know, I knew, like I was saying earlier, the pizzicato employed throughout many of the pieces in this recording is so much more experiential than I remember it being when I was listening to it before. So, yeah, just all around great recording. Hey, leave your reactions in the Down Under. I will have a link to my original review of 200 Motels in the Down Under. So, you know, if you're unfamiliar with a lot of the background, and there's some pretty interesting stuff in the background that went on in terms of how the songs came to be, the chaos that at times ensued because of the constraints on the production timeline, and the issue of personnel sort of abandoning the project, and how instances like that were, you know, being incorporated and all that stuff. You know, check that out with that link to that review of the entire album. You know, and hey, like, subscribe. It helps. The channel is slowly growing, and I enjoy everybody's feedback. You know, when comments are left, I really do enjoy that. So, happy Christmas to you all. It is Christmas Eve here in Chicago. And as always, remember to pray for the people inside your head, for they won't be there when you're dead.